Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We've got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about a massive breakout that is going right now on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has broken well above $50,000 and currently has moved all the way up to 52. As you can see on this daily chart, Bitcoin took a short pause yesterday from the CPI reading, but over the last 24 hours, Bitcoin has absolutely exploded beyond our yearly highs, setting new highs even as we speak, up in the $52,000 range. Guys, I'm so excited to be bringing you today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live because I do believe that Bitcoin is now moving into its final leg up towards all-time high. Cannot wait to see what Bitcoin is going to be able to do with this movement. So let's go ahead and get started over on CoinMarketCap. As you can see, Bitcoin is up 20% in the last 7 days. Absolutely enormous. Ethereum up 16.71%. up to $333 billion, and that actually leads us to another point here. Bitcoin has just retained a $1 trillion market capitalization for the first time in 2.5 years. The last time that Bitcoin was trading at a $1 trillion market cap would have been all the way back in December of 2021. To give you perspective on that, my wife and I have a 10-month-old. That was when we were dating. All right, it's been a while. You know, it's been a little while since before this movement has come in. We have not seen Bitcoin at $1 trillion. We have not seen Bitcoin at $1 trillion market capitalization in a very long time. So today we're going to be talking about whether or not this is actually the final leg back up to all-time high coming in, or if instead we are just seeing another fake out movement that we may end up seeing a correction from. So let's go ahead and read some chat and introduce everybody who is here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I really hope you've been loading up your bags with us over the course of the last several months that we've been discussing the importance of dollar cost averaging. I'm very excited about our portfolio. It's really starting to take off in the altcoins that we have placed investments in. Many of them are up over 25%. Or even more. Our Solana is currently at $117.63. Our average cost basis is down around $86, so that's done very well. Same thing with Chainlink. Our average cost basis on Chainlink is down around, what, $14, I think it is? $14.74. It's sitting at $20. So overall, these investments are starting to pan out very, very well. Very excited about that. There's only a few of them that are down. Pretty much everything is up. Some of it up a considerable amount. And I'm really excited to see where this market is going to go over the course of the rest of this year. So let's go ahead and read some chat, introduce some names, and then we're going to get started. Silva Dalla coming in first today said, let's go. Absolutely. Joe Bollier is in chat. Joey Van Engelingberg is in chat. Jason Barry, the French Toast Breakfast Club, RJ, Dax Brody, Grand Roofing Incorporated, Crypto Ohio, You Are Awesome, El Gio, Bob Riley, Crypto Mini Bike, Jack Walker, the Single Dads Club said, let's go. Shout out to all the single dads out there. I was raised by a single dad. Absolutely massive shout out to all of you guys. You got a really hard job, so shout out to all of you guys. John Stoley 1 in chat. Vintage Excellence in chat. Christina Orozco is in chat. Wreck the Bears. Crypto Surge. Leon is real. Pew Pew Poom 2 as always. Alex Nibo and Mattis S. Overcomer 70 times 7 and many, many more. If we were to sit here and go over every single person that's in chat right now, we would be going over quite a few different names. But shout out to all of you guys that are in chat. Bilal Salim said, listening at work from Holland Pharmacy in Holland, Ohio. Ha! That's pretty funny. All right. Let's get started. This is exciting. Bitcoin very well may be on its final run back up to all-time high, the very first thing I want to do is I want to ask you, have you been planting? Have you been investing? Have you been dollar cost averaging? Have you been putting money into this space? Have you been putting money where it needs to go so it can grow? Daniel Stewart said, say my name. Sure, Daniel Stewart. Have you prepared yourself? If not, why not? And when are you going to? Vintage Excellence said, but Charlie Munger says Bitcoin is trash. Yes, I blundered a while back. I made a video that said Charlie Munger is dead wrong about Bitcoin. And then he passed away about 2 weeks later. So now I got to go change the title because it just says Charlie Munger is dead wrong. And it looks like a pun. It's not, I swear. I'm not evil, right? But I got to go change the title to that video. Anyway, beautiful day for a Bitcoin pump. Let's get started, guys. We're going to start out over on CoinMarketCap as always. Like I said, Bitcoin is up 20% in the last 7 days. Ethereum is up 16.5%. Solana up 23% in the last week. Cardano moving up to 58 cents. Really excited to see what the old Dono is going to do. It's up 20% in the last week. Avalanche up 20% in the last week. Chainlink up 10%. We've got 15% movement on ICP. Sheeb is up. Polygon's up. Polkadot's up. Bitcoin Cash even up 18.5%. That's how you know that the overall market is running and everything's getting caught in the tidal wave. Immutable X up 36.28%. Near Protocol up 21%. Stacks up 57%. Going on an absolute run. Caspa up 28.2%. Lido DAO up 12.79%. Very excited about all these movements, guys. VeChain up 25%. We're starting to see the altcoin market move. But the funny thing is, Bitcoin dominance is actually still sitting at a huge number. If you look on the last 7 days, Bitcoin dominance has actually increased. So you're seeing a major rally on the altcoins, but Bitcoin is actually still outpacing them. Bitcoin is running and is running fast. It's gobbling up market dominance like there's no tomorrow. And I do believe that we are on a run all the way back up to all-time high at some point in the next 2 to 4 months, having to do with the Bitcoin halving coming in. If you go to the Bitcoin halving clock, there's a website, Bitcoin by Bitcoin Worldwide, where they track the halving date based on the block time and based on the block height. And they are currently predicting a halving date of April 17th, 2024, which is in 63 days. If you remember, we made a video about a year ago saying how a clock will send Bitcoin to $50,000. It did. Bitcoin is currently at $50,000. If you guys didn't see that video, I wish you had have seen it because we predicted that Bitcoin would do exactly what it did right here. If you go back on the Crypto Jeb channel, back to about this time last year, I think it was March, scroll down, there is a video down here that got a ton of views. You guys absolutely loved it. And like I said, it's right here. A clock will send Bitcoin to $50,000, Bitcoin price prediction. In that video, we said that Bitcoin will be trading between $35,000 and $50,000 by the end of 2024. Sorry, the end of 2023. And that's exactly what Bitcoin did. It was trading at those levels very quickly. So now we're here. Where do we go next? Well, let's get started on the chart and let's talk about what has happened so far. During the course of this bull market, Bitcoin has rallied following a trend line. That is this trend line right here. Bitcoin has followed this trend line over and over and over again, first setting it in motion here at the very end of 2022. We then had a set point here. We have a pivot point right here, which sets the inclination, the degree, if you will, of a trend line. Then we had the set point here that set the actual trend angle. Then we had another touch on the level right here on June 15th, another touch here in early August where Bitcoin fell through. Then Bitcoin would rally up to this level, test it as resistance. Then we will break through that level, come back and back test it several times before falling through and then breaking and rallying to the upside back through it once again. Currently, Bitcoin is still above this level, and something to keep in mind about this trend line is that it shows up on the logarithmic chart. If we were to switch to the regular chart, it doesn't really show up in the same way. The trend line ends up fading off into oblivion over here. It shows up on the logarithm chart, but what that means is that if that trend line touches here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here, you can see that that's actually a parabolic trend line. If you were to switch it over to the regular chart and actually redraw it, TradingView, as far as I'm aware, doesn't have the functionality to do that. But if you were to redraw that, it would be a curve, which means that it is a parabolic uptrend that Bitcoin has been following. Bitcoin has been, therefore, going parabolic for the last 14 to 15 months. And the question now becomes, where is Bitcoin going to move to? How far is it going to go? Well, if you extrapolate this trend out into the future, it doesn't take very long for it to hit $69,000. In fact, that is only in July. And Bitcoin is currently sitting above this trend line. And for many reasons we'll talk about in a minute, could move much farther than that. So, is a short-term all-time high run in the cards? Yes, it is actually very much in the cards and could be happening very, very, very soon. Now, I also want to mention another video that I made in light of this one. I made this video down here, the video on how a clock will send Bitcoin to $50,000, wherever it is. It's down here somewhere, right here. A clock will send Bitcoin to $50,000, Bitcoin price prediction. We made this video, but then more recently we made another video that if you haven't watched, I would recommend you go and watch. And that video was right back, let's see, where did I put it? It's here on the channel somewhere. Right here. Why Bitcoin will reach $100,000 on this exact date in 2024. If you haven't watched this video, you are also missing out. And the reason is because on Bitcoin, we drew this. This is our prediction for when Bitcoin will be hitting $100,000, and it has to do with this trend line. I predict that Bitcoin will be hitting $100,000 this year between the 1st of August and the 1st of November. Now, that's a pretty bold prediction, and Bitcoin might come short of it. So let me just get something straight. If Bitcoin goes to 85, let's be happy about that, right? Let's be happy that Bitcoin went to 85, even if it didn't go all the way to 100. That being said, I do think that following this trajectory, Bitcoin will be back up at all-time high in just the next few months because Bitcoin had its correction. Bitcoin, over the course of this bull market, has had one correction, a second correction, a third correction, and a fourth correction, and all of them have been roughly 20% in size. There is a historical precedent to say that we could have a much larger corrective movement before moving into the fullness of the bull market in 2024 and 2025. That is possible. Bitcoin could see a random 40% drop come in at some point. For example, if we rallied to all-time high, we could drop 40% back down to 40K and then bounce from there. That is possible. But what I am more interested in is the fact that the overall trend is extremely bullish and Bitcoin is pushing with a lot of exuberance and power back towards all-time high. So let's look at the shorter term time frames and analyze whether that's actually what we are about to see happen. All right, because I want to know whether Bitcoin is actually going into a massive rally right now or if Bitcoin is just simply on some kind of random movement that is going to end in just a couple of days. Is this some little tiny insignificant movement, or is this actually something of significance and something of import? I do believe it's the latter, and I'll show you why momentarily. On the daily chart, Bitcoin has a 0.786 Fibonacci level, as you can see right here. It's hidden by this red trend line, so I'll delete it for a second. But you can see the 0.786 Fibonacci level is sitting right there. 0.786 is at roughly $50,000. All right, so if that $50,000 level is the last Fibonacci level that we really need to pay too close attention to, and it also lines up here with this high that we set at about $48,500 in March of 2022. These are major resistance levels, and Bitcoin has managed to break them. On the Fibonacci retracement, even today, we have broken through that level with a serious amount of power. Now, yes, we did have a correction yesterday, but we also, of course, had the CPI news come out. This vertical line right here represents the exact moment that US CPI data came out. Bitcoin crashed on it for one reason or another. But as we talked about yesterday, I gave it a day or two at most, and Bitcoin would be back at 50K, and that's exactly what happened. Bitcoin bottomed out on this uptrend, which is exactly what we said would happen. It bounced off of this uptrend, and within a day or two, i.e. right now, which is a day later, we rallied back up above 50K, which is what we expected was going to happen yesterday. And the reason for that is because Bitcoin has gone through its correction. You have to think about it like momentum. If Bitcoin goes on a massive run here, let's say Bitcoin just ran 50 miles, right? It's going to be tired. It's going to need a break. But if Bitcoin just got a big old rest, it's taken its correction, then is Bitcoin going to have power to move to the upside? Yes, it's going to have significantly more power, especially when you factor in the overall strength of the bulls in the market. When you factor in the overall strength of the bulls in the market, then what you come to realize is that the market is ridiculously strong right now, and Bitcoin doesn't need as much rest. It's a little bit like, here's some history for you. This is gonna make you laugh if you didn't know this. Well, hopefully it won't make you laugh actually, because it's kind of sad. But during the Second World War, the French were completely stunned by the rapidity, the quickness, the speed, and the velocity of let me just let me pull up a picture here. Let me pull something up here so I can make this point. The French, during the beginning of the Second World War, were absolutely shocked by how quickly the Germans were able to move through the Ardennes, go around the Maginot Line, and how quickly they were able to push on towards the sea. And they were stunned. They're like, they never stopped. For 3 days straight, the panzers and the infantry moved and did not sleep. And the French were completely stunned by how this could have happened. How could the Germans have moved that quickly? Well, what they didn't know is that all of the German infantry were using a certain prescription that was given to them by the Wehrmacht, the Nazi Germany military. And it's called Pervitin. You may know it by another name, methamphetamine. So France literally got overrun. You're going to think I'm joking here. You're going to think I'm making fun of people that got I'm not making fun of anybody. But France literally got overrun by meth heads. That's literally what happened. All right? That's kind of what Bitcoin is doing right now. It's on something. And you know what it's on? It's on the drug called Fomo. And so the bears are sitting here thinking, man, why does it never slow down? It just runs day and night. It never takes a break. They regroup for 3 days, and then they keep on going even farther. What's going on? Well, the bulls are on some drugs right now, man. You know the drug that they are on? The drug that the bulls are on are called Fomo. Another analogy to help explain to you the psychology behind this movement is that when you are watching a movie and you see a cow standing in a field, and you know the movie's like vaguely about aliens, right? And the movie opens and there's a cow standing in a field. What's about to happen, right? Tractor beam, and the thing floats up into the sky. That's kind of what's going on right now. Bitcoin is a cow stuck in a tractor beam getting sucked up to 70K. I've been telling you this for the last 2 years on the channel. When Bitcoin breaks 50K, like a tractor beam, it's going to get sucked up to $70,000. Like a junkyard magnet on your old Lexus, it is sucking that sucker up towards $69,000. And the force behind the tractor beam or behind the infantry or whatever you want to call it, the drug that Bitcoin's on, whatever analogy you want to use, the force that is moving Bitcoin right now is the force called FOMO. And so that's why I can be so confident that Bitcoin is going to be bullish right now. And I could be wrong at any time. Of course, I'm not perfect, but the reason that I am so confident that Bitcoin's going to run further here is one, we just broke through one of the last lines. To use the analogy, the Germans, the bulls just marched around the Maginot Line. Forget it. We're not even going to bother with it. We're punch straight through it. Who even cares? Bitcoin jumped straight through $50,000. All right? And the bulls are hopped up on laughing gas, and they are moving towards $69,000 because that's where they want to go. So, when you see the herd of hyenas or the pack of hyenas in the Lion King coming at you, and they're all laughing and their tongues hanging out, that's the bulls right now, running towards $69,000. And they're making a lot of money right now, and they want to keep investing. So people that were not dollar cost averaging now are, and you're really getting into this snowballing territory. And that's not even to include the altcoins. So the altcoins are moving massively right now because they're doing the exact same thing. Bitcoin's up 20%. Solana's up 22%. Solana's at $117. We've got Cardano up 20%. It's at 57 cents. Avalanche up to $41. Dogecoin's moved a little bit. Chainlink's up 9.46%. Tron doing relatively well. Big movement on ICP. Big movement on Polygon. Big movement on Bitcoin Cash. And so where is this movement going to go? Well, following all of our technicals, it's going to continue higher. MACD, about as bullish as it gets right now, guys. RSI, about as bullish as it gets right now. It's sitting up at 78. By the way, when people look at the MACD and the RSI at these levels, a lot of times they use them as reversal zones, reversal signs. That's not actually how you read them. That's not actually how you read them. you read this as saying if we're at 70 or 80, that means the bulls are very strong. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's about to be a correction. It means that there could be a correction, and oftentimes there is a correction, but there have been times in history that Bitcoin has stayed up here above 70 for months. For example, right here, we stayed up above 70 for like 3 months straight as Bitcoin ran straight towards all-time high and beyond. And so we shouldn't get too confident that Bitcoin is just going to go through some massive crash right now. What I think is probably going to happen is Bitcoin's going to run for another couple of days. But because the bulls are on the metaphorical meth right now, it's difficult to tell where exactly they're going to stop. Because let me tell you something. I don't know. I've never done drugs. But I would imagine that it doesn't make you think very straight. So the bulls are kind of going nuts right now, and there's not really any resistance up here. There's not a guardrail, guys. This is like driving on an interstate with no white lines. They're just kind of doing this number like they're from Seinfeld in the 90s. And Elaine went out there and got rid of it. Who remembers that episode, right? That's what the bulls are doing. They're like, oh, I don't know where to go. There's no resistance up here. We don't know how strong we are. We're just wandering around, man. And so Bitcoin's going to go to some level. Hard to tell what level. I'll tell you one level that it might go to. It might go to 57,000 because that's the 0.786 level at $57,500 on the linear chart. So 57.5 is a number to keep an eye on. I'll go ahead and draw that because we normally make our home on the logarithm chart, but we can go ahead and draw that there. So 57.5 is a potential level. But if Bitcoin doesn't find a specific level, it's going to go to a certain level. It's going to retrace back down to this uptrend. And then we're just going to ride it on to all-time high, is what seems to be happening. If something fundamental changes, then sure. Like if the Ethereum ETF gets denied from BlackRock, then sure, that's going to be a big deal. But overall right now, the market's just wildly bullish. And it's just going to stay that way for a while, to be honest. Upscale Away said, show us your fib levels because mine, based on Bitstamps, show 786 around 57,500. Well, so this comment was a few minutes ago before I just said that. But yeah, that's what I was talking about. On the linear chart, it's around 57,500. On the log chart, it's around 50K. So both of those are important levels. Both of those are important levels. Dude's a dang comedian. I'm weak. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Hey man, you got any more of those ETFs? No Name said, thanks for all the work, Jeb. You've really helped me set up my success in the markets. That's exciting. I love to hear it. Thank you so much. The Cassandra Project, the Nuclear War Channel, said that is a true fact. It is a true fact. Pervitin was standard issue. They literally got them addicted to meth. I wish I were joking. That's horrible, right? That's terrible. And by the way, methamphetamine, apparently, because I watched a documentary on this one time about, meth head Nazis invading France. Like that. The things you get up to at 2 in the morning, right? But I also learned in said documentary several years ago that meth makes you less compassionate. So that's interesting. So that kind of explains some things that happened during the Second World War. In short, stay in school, stay away from drugs, kids. Shadrach Frost said, folks, please smash that like button right away. It takes a second and really helps this channel give back the love and support that Jeb brings to us on a daily basis. Thank you, friends. Yes, thank you so much, Shadrach Frost. And guys, thank you very much for all of your support. Quentin Bommelje said, true story, can confirm meth. This is real, guys. Jeb speaking truth. I love all of you guys coming in and like backing me up so people didn't think I was just being mean to people that are addicted to drugs, because I'm not trying to be mean to that. I know people that have, troubles with that. I'm not trying to beat up on anybody or make fun of anything that people are having to struggle with. Your charts are accurate with past. Looking at past halvings, time to reach ATH is between 85 and 237 days. Exactly. Track you too. Absolutely. That's exactly my point. In fact, let's take a look at that just to confirm even more. I just want to hammer it home. Listen, I don't want you just to come to this channel and just hear, oh, Jeb's got an opinion. Oh, he's some guru. No, I want to back up what I say with facts and logic and explain to you my rationale so that you understand why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking. And so I'm going to show you the historical track record really quickly. I'm just making sure chat's up on my phone so I can see you guys. I'm going to show you the historical track record of how Bitcoin goes to all-time high when it comes to halvings. Golly, I'm still getting used to iPhone. There's a certain way to silence it, and I keep forgetting there's a button for that. You can't just mute it. All right. So, Bitcoin has all-time high May 12th, 2020. Bitcoin would return to all-time high in about 215 days, give or take. You know, I'm not trying to be exactly down to the actual day precise here, but we're trying to make a point here. About 200 days post-halving, Bitcoin goes to all-time high. I think that would have happened sooner if not for the pandemic. Because if you look here, Bitcoin was already on a pretty substantial uptrend. It had a bit of a correction here. And it probably would have kept going up to all-time high, probably closer to the halving date, maybe a couple months after halving. But of course, the whole world shut down and decided that toilet paper is the next gold, and so Bitcoin crashed. Because now it's not Bitcoin that's the next gold. It's toilet paper and face masks. Who remembers that? Probably all of you. One day, my wife and I were talking about the pandemic, COVID, this morning. We were like, we're going to tell our kids this one day, and they're not going to believe us. They're just not. They're going to say, I knew it. I knew it. I knew that people were rewriting history. 1984. 2024 won't be like 1984. Yeah, well, they're going to think we're rewriting history because of how ridiculous it was. Anyway, Bitcoin went through a massive crash here. Probably would have rallied to all-time high a lot sooner, but it didn't. So let's just use the data as the data is, even though we can say that the data probably would have said something different if there was something different going on in the real world. But about 215 days post-halving, we have an all-time high run. All right, the previous all-time high was, if I remember, it was May 2016. 2016 Bitcoin halving date. You guys can remind me what day it was. July 6th. Oh, May, June, July. I was off. Oh, well, right. The last one was May 6th. I knew that. Oh, come on. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at this number right here, this date right here. I should have known that. Anyway, let's look over here at July 6th, and you will see what I'm trying to show you. When July 6th rolls around, and we have BLX, Brave New Coin Liquid Index. If you guys don't have the Brave New Coin Liquid Index pinned, you should. It's very helpful. So July 6th, Bitcoin has the halving come in. All-time high at that time was 1181. It would take some time for Bitcoin to go back to that level, about 181 days, right? And then if you go back into 2012, there's a similar story. I believe it was November of 2012. 2012, I have this on a chart somewhere. 2012 halving date was November 28th. That's right. Remember the date. November 28th. And this is where it happened quite a bit quicker. November 28th, 2012. Who remembers that time? World was ending. Bitcoin was not. Bitcoin would go back all the way to all-time high within about 85 days, which is what our lovely commenter was referencing. The point here is that Bitcoin normally goes to all-time high post-halving. And it very well may be the case that we're going to see an all-time high post-halving. Right now, Bitcoin is sitting at $52,000. And if we follow this trend line into the future, which is not gospel, but it is relatively useful. If we follow this trend line into the future, we see that it starts reaching up towards all-time high just about 2 months post-halving. Everything that we can see right now is lining up to lead us to the same conclusion, that Bitcoin is going to do the same thing that it did the last 3 halvings, which is that it's going to go to all-time high within 90 to 210 days, that's 3 to 7 months, of the halving date. And a part of the reason for that is because when you change the supply and demand characteristics of any market, it takes time for that to update. For example, if you are trying to build a Toyota Corolla, there are about 30,000 components that go into that vehicle. Each one of those components has to have its own manufacturing line, and each one of those manufacturing lines have to have multiple different steps in the process. Each one of those steps in the process require employees that make a certain amount of money based on the market that they live in locally, and every single one of those components has to have a supplier for the raw resources that supplies the manufacturer, which supplies the final assembly. And of course, it's actually significantly more complicated than that. And because it's so complicated, if you have some change in price, it might not affect, if the price of iron, bulk iron, changes, obviously, let's say aluminum actually bauxite ore, which is refined down into aluminum, because there's a lot of aluminum in the aluminum frame in aluminum in vehicles. Let's say you change the price of bauxite by 50%. It gets 50% more expensive. That might not actually impact the price of the vehicle for 2 years, because it takes about 2 years for the raw resources to be extracted from the ground, to be refined, and to be sent through all of the different links in the chain. It takes time for inflation, or more specifically, supply and demand shifts in a market to reach the final price of the final good. In this case, it's a much simpler process. Theoretically, less steps in the process. The processes themselves are ridiculously complicated because they are cryptographic hashing functions. But the what should we say here? The process is thus: you have Bitcoin releasing, Bitcoin is mined, putting more Bitcoin into the ecosystem, and when that gets cut in half, it takes a while for that reduction in incoming supply to impact the price of Bitcoin. And so that's why a lot of times when you see the halving come in, you see Bitcoin go parabolic like 6 months later. We see the halving come in here July 6th, 2016. About 6 months later, January 2017, holy cow, we rallied 3,000% in a year. But for the first 6 months post-halving, Bitcoin's barely moved. After the halving, Bitcoin takes off like a rocket ship. Similar deal here. Bitcoin has the halving come in May 2020. It's kind of nothing burger. 150 days later, you're basically at the same price level you were at. But then you fast forward to 200 days later, and Bitcoin takes off and rallies 500%. Similar story here. Bitcoin has already gone through a major rally. There's probably going to be some trading and some resistance being built up here because we're getting closer to 69K, even though I think we're going to be sucked up towards it pretty quickly. 57.5, that 0.786 Fibonacci level may come in handy here. Then, when the halving comes in, it's going to take a while for it to really actually impact the supply and demand characteristics of Bitcoin. And it's going to have a smaller impact than previous halvings because it's, obviously, since it's a halving, the block reward's going down by 3.125 rather than before it went down by 6.5 and before it went down by 6.25, and then before that it went down by 12.5, and before that it went down by 25, etc. So this is a less significant halving than the previous, just by nature of the way that it works. But we will end up seeing it impact Bitcoin, but it may take some time. And so for the next few months, I think you're going to see generally uptrending movement on Bitcoin, probably one large correction of at least 20% at some point. Remember I said that because some people are going to say, oh, Jeb says it's going to 100K. Why is it down 20%? Well, no, hang on. At some point here, it might be right here. It might be right here. It might be right here. At some point here, you're going to have a big correction of probably 20%. But at some point then, you're going to start moving towards all-time high. And then that's when the magic starts. Because has Bitcoin ever breached all-time high and not gone into a major run? No. The last time we broke all-time high of 20K post-halving, Bitcoin would rally 200% in 120 days. If Bitcoin did that again, within 120 days, i.e. 4 months, Bitcoin would be at $200,000. Whether that's going to happen or not is obviously up for debate. That's a pretty big movement, which would add, $3 trillion in 4 months? I'm not so sure I buy that, but I do think that it could happen given more time. Here, when we finally break 1185, within 54 days, we're up 150%. Within 140 days, Bitcoin's up 343%. And within 250 days, Bitcoin's up 1,500% after we broke all-time high. The historical trend here is that we had a 1,500% movement. Then we had a 250% movement. I think it stands to reason that once you break all-time high, within just a short 90 to 100 day period, 90 to 180 day period, Bitcoin will rally at least 50% to all-time high. We're already right there. It's going to be a mainstream attraction. And you have the S&P 500 sitting at all-time high at the same time. Bitcoin is in one of the best positions it's been in since 2020. And that is very exciting. And it also is very exciting for the altcoins, which are going to outpace Bitcoin dramatically starting in about 6 to 12 months. Total market capitalization is sitting at $1.93 trillion right now. We have a $2 trillion market here, guys, that people are still scoffing at. I remember when I got into the space, let me just give you some context here. When I got into cryptocurrency, the market capitalization of Bitcoin, sorry, not of Bitcoin, of the entire industry was $90 billion. I got in right here. I'm trying to put it on 731. 803. That's the closest I can get to the date that I got in. July 31st, 2017. The overall market was valued at $90 billion when I joined the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin was trading sub 3,000. That's how long I've been here before. Bitcoin, I love you 3,000, but Bitcoin was below 3,000, right? Crypto would go up to nearly a $1 trillion market capitalization at the end of 2017 and then crash down lower than I'd ever seen it, or right back down to where I had first got in at about $100 billion. Then, of course, Bitcoin and crypto went to $3 trillion. What in the world might happen this time? Because if you see this movement right here, this right here on market cap, okay, I'm getting tired of CoinMarketCap's chart. We're going to go to the total chart. TradingView's got a much better chart. All right. Hide everything. Put it on linear. Thank you. This movement right here. This movement right here. Question. Is this movement, let's just do like some 4th grade comparison and contrasting, right? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm deleting everything. All right, there we go. Deleted everything. This market right here. Is this analogous to this movement or this movement? There's your question. Which one is it analogous to? It's actually analogous to this one. Because this is the movement that happened pre-halving. This is the movement that happened pre-all-time high. If this is A1 and this is A2, let me just explain this like we're 5 years old, just so it's simple. If that's A1 and that's A2, and this is a movement of $200 billion in market capitalization, and this is a movement of $1.12 trillion in market capitalization, and this is B1, what does B2 end up looking like? Huh? Do we go to 10? Probably. Probably $5 to $10 trillion is where this market goes. So you can see my rationale. You can see why I've been throwing so much money into altcoins and why I love that we have such a big Bitcoin position. Because this market's about to explode, guys. You think we're done. We're not even close. There's so much more to come. So, how do we wrap all this up into a nice, neat bow and have a takeaway here? What do we do with all this? Well, one of the first things I want you to understand is that Bitcoin is not too late to invest in. Getting yourself just a quarter of a Bitcoin, just a 10th of a Bitcoin. If you can get to 1 Bitcoin, great. But getting yourself just a 10th of a Bitcoin could be life-changing. Because Bitcoin will probably, in the next 10 to 15 years, 10x again. 10x is a huge return. Massive return. Furthermore, many of your favorite altcoins in this market alone will probably rally between 500 to 1,000%, a 5 to 10x movement. So continue to load up on altcoins. And if you didn't watch the video yesterday, which got a disappointing number of views, we got 7,600 views on this. I was so sad that more people didn't watch this video. I thought this was like one of the best videos I made in a long time. Go watch this video if you haven't. Plan to make millions in crypto in 2024, Bitcoin and crypto investment. I lay out exactly how to do it. Exactly how to invest to make money in this coming bull market. Go watch that video if you haven't already. So pay very close attention to the investment strategies that we're putting together. Dollar cost average into your portfolios. Set up a portfolio. Do your altcoin research. Say, hey, I like this project, this project, this project, this project, this project. I'm buying this and this and that and that and that and that and this. And Bitcoin's going, and these markets are going to do very, very well. So the takeaway here is if you're not dollar cost averaging, start dollar cost averaging. Very simple. Chris Graham said that was an amazing comparison. Thank you very much. TrackU2 said your A1 and A2 example is spot on. That's what's going on, guys. Look, I'm not going to say that Bitcoin's going to rally 1,000%. I'm not saying it's going to 1 million this bull market. But I am saying that Bitcoin's probably going to at least 150 to 200. Preach it. 5-year-old math rocks. Exactly, guys. Listen, I have gotten relatively good at explaining things to my 3-year-old. I'm like, hey, look, it's like that. It's like this. It's like, man. It's like, wow. You know, I'm not a preschool teacher or anything, obviously. I'm a teacher of adults. But, but I've always found it is, so 2 of the teaching methods that I use are you take something to an extreme, like Nazis on meth, or you make it ridiculously simple. If you do those things to make your point, then the point gets made and it's a lot easier to understand. So make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. We've got 900 people watching live. Thank you so much for tuning in and giving me your time. I hope that it has been a good investment of your time. If we can't get up to 500 likes, if we could get up to 500 likes, that would be wonderful. Thank you guys so much for that. And also, I do want to let you guys know about today's sponsor, which is NordVPN. The reason that NordVPN and I have partnered together is because I believe in a principle called financial sovereignty, which is being in control over your finances, lest your finances control you. I want you to be able to get in control of them by having a budget and making investments and getting out of debt and putting in place systems and structures and plans that will help you to retire or reach the financial goals that you have. Most people are not looking just to buy a Lamborghini. They want to make sure they've got money for the kids' college. They want to make sure they can build a trust fund. They want to make sure that they got a retirement. They want to make sure that there's something left to their children and their children's children, as the good man does. My dream is to help you become more financially sovereign, and the way you do that is by rendering control over the things you have. Something I just taught my son this morning, and I'll continue to teach him over and over, is that it is easier to organize less. The less things you have, the easier it is to organize them. The issue is there are certain things that you do want to hold on to, like the investments. And one of the ways that you end up having less investments is by leaving them exposed to hacking. And so that's why we partnered with NordVPN, because their product is going to help to keep you safe while browsing online by shrouding your IP address and putting all other kinds of protections on you, so that it's way, way harder for a hacker to get into your passwords, into your bank accounts, into your Coinbase accounts, into your hot wallets, whatever it is. It's going to help to protect you from hackers while you're browsing online. So make sure, if you have not already, to sign up for NordVPN with the link in the description box down below. Use the coupon, use the link, and you'll get a coupon. You get 30% off, and if you sign up for a 2-year plan, it's like $200. Sounds like a lot, but it's a lot less than losing $200,000 because you got hacked. So it's a little bit like a it's a little bit like an insurance policy on your investments, because it's going to help to keep you safe. So make sure to sign up if you have not already. Let's read some chat. Post-school teacher Jeb. That's the idea. Teaching you things that you should have been taught in school. Sir, that's legal. Kid Crypto said Jeb's the best. Thank you so much. Philly Skills 1428 in chat says, always a good time, city time. I don't get it. Ada Gang's in chat. Represent. The Ada Gang's here. Luli said, hey, y'all. Hi there. Jason Burt said, love your show. Blessings to you and your family, brother. Thank you very much. Josh Rung? I'm sorry. Said, simplicity creates wealth. Yes. Simplify, simplify, simplify. I like that and this too. Good. B1 and B2. Aren't those bananas in pajamas? Is it? Bananas in pajamas. I have no idea what that's a reference to. Diminishing returns on this past cycle, we would be at 147% this cycle. However, that is based on history. We now have institutional backing that may throw out our past data. Yes, it is definitely going to have an impact on things. When the Fed starts to ease rates, yes, that'll be happening probably in the next 4 months. When that happens, that's going to be very bullish. Dharmendra Patel is in chat. Good to see you. And every employee has to eat and the food has to be grown. Yes, that's exactly right, Vintage Excellence. That is another component. Economies are ridiculously complicated machines, and they are actually more like living organisms because they are made up of living organisms called humans. Queen said, God bless you, Pastor Jeb and fam. Thank you very much. God bless you as well. Toilet paper is greater than gold. Yep. My late father-in-law was in the Wehrmacht and was issued it. Yeah, it's crazy that, the Second World War was not that long ago. Absolutely wild. Now, Cliff's Wild West Coast Adventure, I think, donated 10 CAD, Canadian dollars. Thank you so much. That's about $7.75 here. Really appreciate that donation. Thank you so much. Eric Ward said, let's get ready to make bank. That's right. Benches. Josh Rung said, just celebrated 10 years sober. You're on point, bro. Love it. Love to hear it. Good for you. That is awesome. So proud of you. Good job. Good job. Give it up for him. Schmedley B in chat said facts. That's right. All right. Same when they invaded Russia. Yep. They were doing that. Yep, exactly. Thanks for all the work, Jeb. You've really helped me set up success in the markets. I love that everybody in chat is like, man, people are going to think Jeb is just being a jerk when he says that the Nazis were on meth. So let's just come in and back him up and say, no, actually, he's telling the truth. It actually really was that way. No, you can look it up. That's a true fact. That's a fact of history right there. That's one of those facts of history that you wish wasn't true. And it's not funny, but it's almost one of those things where it's like, if you forget that it was a horrible thing going on, it's almost like, what? They shot them up with meth. Seriously, they're little tablets. They ate them. They ate them. All right. Let's read some chat, and then we're going to wrap it out, guys. What's your opinion on FTM Phantom? I haven't looked at it in a while. I actually have an interview on the channel with Michael Kong. If you go back, I really liked Michael Kong, but I never really followed up too much on it. Much love from Croatia, fam. Made my financial plan for this bull market with the help of your videos. Let's flip and go. Rarts said. Good. Nah, Jeb's not being a jerk. The Germans totally ruined the French. Yeah, the Nazi Germans did. Obviously, Germany today is a different country than it was then, so shout out to all of our German fans now. But yeah, the Nazis definitely ruined the French. That's a good word for it. God bless you and your friend and your family. Thank you very much. See you on the moon, everybody. Yep. U.S. Air Force gave our guys meth, calling them go pills. Did they really? Did that really happen? Cicero Ferreira. I think I'm getting it. First in Brazil, now in Florida. Thanks, Jeb, for share. God bless you. Thank you very much. Pastor of crypto, lol. All right. You know what? Before we wrap it out, I just want to see if I can just find this Rocket Mortgage ad that I saw the other day and just dump on it because I'm so sick and tired of this. Let me just, hang on a second. Where is this? Where's this ad? Ask your home. Here. I might get a copyright strike for this. I don't care. Because this ticked me off. I was watching Ahsoka last night on Disney Channel, on Disney Plus. Not Disney Channel, on Disney Plus. And I saw this ad come on. Hang on one second. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna call out some nonsense here. You're gonna see me go off on this, and then we're gonna wrap it out. Watch this ad.
Put it in the bag.
This is the exact ad I saw last night.
Put it on the card. Put it in the bag. These 3 bags used to be 6. Seems like the only thing going up these days is your credit card balance. If only there were some place to turn. Just ask your home. Your home's got equity. And with Rocket Mortgage, you can use it to get cash quickly for whatever you need. So when it's time to unlock cash, just ask your home.
Let's just go to that website. I haven't seen this website. Just askyourhome.com. They literally have a website. It's what they said. They said they literally had a website in this video. Well, this is not crypto, but this is kind of a finance thing. Just askyourhome.com. Let me see if I can get this to just askyourhome.com. You'll see why this is annoying for me in a second. Hopefully, you probably already see what's going on here. Need cash? Just ask your house. You can have thousands of dollars in your home for goals like renovation and debt collection. Home equity loan, cash out refinance. Helping clients get their goals for almost 40 years. This is ridiculous. So the idea here, like I said, this is not crypto, but I know that we've got 800 people watching. I'm sure there's one of you that's looking at this thinking, wow, this is a great idea. When you get a 30-year mortgage, there's something called an amortization table. It basically means that you front load, any loan does this. There's an amortization table. It basically means that when you first get a loan, you front load the interest payments. So the first payment, like 90% of the payment is going to interest. And then it changes in the last payment, like 10% goes to interest and 90% goes to principal. So the bank makes all their money up front so they can cycle it and move it, and you get left holding the bag. So the idea here is that you just paid for 10 years on your house. You put almost nothing into the house because 75 or 80% of what you put into that mortgage payment went straight to the bank. And what they want you to do is they want you to take a cash out refinance, which is basically putting another loan on your house. It's another word for more or less putting a second mortgage on your home and put yourself in more debt. And you know what you're going to end up doing? Because you barely put any money into the house over the course of the first 10 years, if you didn't make extra payments, you maybe paid down the principal 20%. You're going to end up being upside down on the property and owe more on the property than the property is worth. And you know what they want you to go and do with that? They want you to go and spend that money on daily essentials rather than trying to get out of debt, because the reason that you can't afford groceries is because you're giving all of your money to them in the form of interest payments. So they want you to go get another loan so you can pay them more interest and they can get bigger. And they are so deceitful as to make it out to be like it's going to benefit you. I will never do business with Rocket Mortgage. That is evil. That is soul-suckingly evil. And to have the audacity to claim that they are helping clients reach their goals for almost 40 years. This is absolutely absurd. Many of you guys have the financial literacy to understand why that is absolutely stupid. But when you do something like that, you are borrowing from your future to pay for the today. I will use the word for that. That is evil. Evil. Just had to mention that because that's like the trend now. Is taking your loan balance from, oh, I've only got $300,000 left to pay off. Cool, I can pay that off in the next. Yeah, I can do that in the next 12 years. Cool. All right, now I'm going to go take a $200,000 loan out to renovate. Now listen, I understand that people will take loans to renovate and they're adding equity and etc. The amount of interest you're going to pay on that loan for the renovation, you should have just not done the renovation at all because you're going to pay your profits into the bank and they're the ones making the money. It just gets me every time, guys. I don't think debt is a sin. I don't even think there are times where I understand it. There are times I get it. But generally speaking, you want to try and avoid it. And I understand if you have a mortgage, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a mortgage. But trying to do a cash out refinance like that is absolutely asinine. Absolutely asinine. And people are wondering why they can't afford anything. If you went and looked at all the payments, then you would see that a third or a half of your take-home pay is going straight to an interest payment. It's absolutely ridiculous. All right, Overcome 70 times 7 said thoughts on Dog with Hat. Haven't looked at it too much. It's down 124. Doing relatively well. It's rallied quite a bit recently. Just came out. Yeah, it may end up rallying well. I mean, some of the I don't really like to speculate on meme coins because you have to really follow them to figure it out. If YouTube ticks you for copyright video, they should tick themselves for allowing fake MicroStrategy scams. Yeah, for real. Wow, suck your equity out. Let me just read some of these chats. I'm so glad you guys understand why that is so awful. Let's see. Good morning. OMG, terrible advice. Reverse mortgage equals evil. Wow, shake my head. Try to keep the mortgage industry alive. Trying to keep the mortgage... it's a spending economy, not a saving ones, Jeb. Come on now. I know, and that's the problem. Join slavery ads. Exactly. Join slavery. Yes. Hey, let me just enslave you with another $100,000 of debt that you're probably going to go blow on a vacation to Hawaii that you can't afford so that we can suck the life out of you by making you pay us interest. And if you try and get out of it, then you have to file for bankruptcy, which means you have to sell the house. And by the way, because the market's been sideways, the house is actually underwater because you just took out another loan on it. It's evil. It is absolutely evil. Eric Taylor said that it is absolutely evil. Exactly. Stryker said, preach, Jeb. Love it when Jeb goes 5th grade teaching. They all do it. It is. It's nuts. And you know what? The premise of the ad, too, was like, oh, man, I can't afford groceries. I'm racking up my credit card debt. So instead of racking up credit card debt, let me rack up mortgage debt. All on the half-truth, the deceit that paying lower interest on some kind of reverse mortgage is better than paying low interest on a credit card. You know what? You know what's better than that? How about cut expenses so that you can afford to live on what you make? Start with a budget. Stop eating out. Stop. Right? If you're running a $2,000 a month deficit on your finances, you got no business eating Pizza Hut. You got no business going to Starbucks. You got no business going on vacation. You've got no business doing any of that. Jeb, you ever looked at new technology adoption charts? If you haven't, you should Google it. It takes about 20 years on average to reach complete adoption, the majority of which is at the end of that. Yes, you're right. And that's kind of where we are on Bitcoin. I've been talking about the S-curve of adoption for a very long time. Bitcoin is very much very much moving in that direction. The borrower slave to the lender. Exactly. And it says to run from it like a roe from a hunter, like a deer from a hunter. Run away from it. If you bought a house 10 years ago, then you're fine. Sorry, younger people. Stop using DoorDash. Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Preach, as a mortgage loan originator, that thought about working for Rocket. This is crazy that they would promote this. It hurts most Americans trying to get ahead. And people wonder why they can't get ahead. The reason you can't get ahead is because you're listening to foolishness like that. Absolutely stupid. I saw another ad for something called Chime, and it was this credit card, and the lady, I honestly think that they made the ad for Dave Ramsey fans. I literally think they made the ad and targeted it at people that watch Dave Ramsey stuff. Because they the ad started out with, I know I'm over time, but I got to show you this too. Chime ad. This credit card, and this is just a credit card, so this isn't as bad. You know, credit cards you have to be careful with, but it wasn't as terrible. Yes, I found the ad. I found this ad that I saw last night. Watch this. Watch this.
College, so many people warned me about credit cards. They just seemed really scary. When I needed a car, I realized that I needed to build credit. So I got the Chime Credit Builder card because I could safely build credit without being afraid of fees or interest. And there was no credit check. My score went up.
This one isn't as bad.
points, and I bought my
That one's not as bad. It's just a credit card. You know, you do what you will with credit cards. You got to be careful with them. But that one's not as bad. But I was thinking, like, man, they're targeting it right at people. They're like, I don't know about debt. Like, I don't have a credit card. Like, listen, I understand building credit, but just be careful, please. All right. Have to run to a meeting. Have a great day, folks. Thank you, Jeb, for everything. Yes, thank you, guys. We are going to wrap it out. I really appreciate you guys. Make sure to be investing in Bitcoin and some of your favorite alts. Chainlink's a great one. Cardano's a great one. Solana's a great one. A lot of great ones. We've got a lot of videos on that, so go back and check out some of them. Really excited to see where this market's going to go and where you guys are going to go. So if you haven't already, make sure to sign up for NordVPN using the link in the description box down below. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned because we got a lot of new content coming out before long. But before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.